McLaren Trophy Europe is enjoying its best season yet, with more competitive racing and bigger grids than ever before, and it returns to one of its familiar haunts this weekend. We're at Misano in Italy by the Adriatic coast, and we're looking forward to our first 50-minute race of the weekend. One today, one tomorrow. It has been swelteringly hot all weekend. It's very humid. In fact, the humidity is going up all the time. The track temperature, 51.2 degrees. But the bit of paper on which I would have written sweltering sunny conditions I can throw away, because that sky is looking increasingly leaden. We know there is some rain in the area, and it might well strike during the course of this race, to be described by Tommy Erdos and David Addison. And down on the grid is Nina Jade Paul, who has already managed to find part of the pole position crew, Harry Burgoyne, who shares with Will Aspin.
Harry, superb team effort to get pole position today. How important is it to start at the front at a track like Misano?
I mean, every track's important to start at the front. If you start at the front, it's a bit easier for you. But yeah, I mean, starting here is definitely going to be easier because it's a tight track. It's going to be hard to overtake, and there's a lot of cars that are really fast this weekend. So I think starting off the front is really beneficial for us.
Well, you're currently P3 in the standings, not far from the championship leader currently. How important is it to try and get this win today?
Yeah, I mean, every race you just try and take it race by race. Like at Spa, we were leading after round 3, and then round 4 we had a mechanical problem, so that kind of dropped us back down. But today, I think if we get the win today, we should be hopefully back up the top and pushing for the lead of the championship again.
Well, good luck, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Starting at the front, if I say it's not a Burgoyne family trait, that's not because they're slow, it's because they're in stock car racing, where the better you are, the further back you have to start. And if you're a world champion, as Harry's father, Harry Senior, was, then you always have to start at the back as a world champion, force your way through. 5-minute board is being shown. Now, Tommy, I was saying that it's having its best season yet, McLaren Trophy Europe, with, of course, this introduction of the pro category, more silver-graded drivers coming in. It's got a new injection of life this year.
Very much so, and in fact we have double the numbers that we had here in back in 2024, when we were last here in Misano. So that's a great story really for McLaren. 2 years on, and we have literally double the amount of cars on the grid. We have a 20-car entry for this weekend, and yeah, well, that's a great success story. I mean, if you compare it to, for example, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, they've been around for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, something like that. They have obviously very good grids, but we're only on our 4th season, so it's a great grid number there.
And some new drivers, for example, for Raptor Engineering, Jody Lambrughi and Filippo Barbari come into the championship. Jonathan Cochet also joins the grid this weekend. So some new drivers coming to have a look at the championship. 2 regular drivers, Joshua Mason and Michael O'Brien, who drives number 1, and Michael's with Nina Jade.
Michael, we were just saying how hot it really is out here on track. You've got a lot to contend with today, including the heat. What is your teammates' approach to the opening lap?
I think just to make sure we stay in contention. You know, he's very good at the start, so try and get a good launch, try and get a good run down into turn 1, and just keep ourselves in a good spot, make sure that we stay clean, and yeah, just try and consolidate our position.
Well, you are in perfect position to challenge, and you're no stranger to success yourself, Michael. Will you be getting your elbows out?
Yeah, I hope so. I think the race will come to us. I think we're confident in the car, obviously very confident in Josh. So I'm excited to go out there and see what I can do in the second half.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Josh Mason will start. They were pretty unlucky in the opening races at Monza, which were won by Lorenzo Montero and Lucas Valcra in race 1, and then Gregor Yates and Riccardo Iannello in race 2. Will Aspin and Harry Burgoyne won the first at Spa. Largim Ali and Christian Brooks won the second. So 4 races, 4 different winners outright. And of course, that win for Largim Ali and Christian Brooks means, Tommy, that going into this race, they have to carry some extra time in the pits.
That's right. So obviously they run the success penalty, which is obviously applied after the last race. Yeah, I mean, we have car 99 in the pro class with 7 seconds to be added to the pit stop. And then the fellow we just talked to now, Michael O'Brien, unfortunately, they're going to have to add 5 seconds to their pit stop. That's the car number 1 of Josh Mason and Michael O'Brien. And then the championship leaders at the moment, car 23, have 3 seconds to be added. That's Luca Magnussen and, yeah. So
let's quickly get to the grid. Patrick Schober from number 9 with Nina Jade on the grid.
Well, Patrick, starting P3 today, how aggressive can we expect your teammate to be in the opening lap?
Oh yeah, well, I think the opening lap will be the trickiest. I hope that we can have a clean race, the clean first stint, and then when I jump in, I have to do my duties, and then hopefully we can manage the podium today.
Well, good luck for your duties. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Schober was combative at Spa, but unlucky because he picked up damage early on. But he's shown the pace, and so is Alessandro Fabi. So I think they're both ones to watch once they've sort of, if you like, harnessed all that speed.
Very much so. I think this is a pairing that I really am looking forward to seeing perform, because they showed so much speed. In fact, Alessandro was on pole in qualifying today, but due to a track limit infringement, got put back down to 4th. But he has a lot of pace. That 36.3 is obviously the next best lap. His actual lap in qualifying was a 35.7, and I saw the track limit infringement, and he did not lose half a second. Or gain, if you will, half a second on that. So there's a lot of speed in that car. Those two guys are really fast, both of them. So yeah, watch that car to come through.
Lots of quick drivers to keep an eye on. 1 minute board shown, so in a moment the cars will accelerate. And something else to keep an eye on, this is sort of ticking off all the admin we need to do before these races. We call it push to pass, but push to pull away or push to catch. But the extra power, however you want to phrase it, these cars have.
Absolutely. This is a great thing that we have here with the push to pass button, because as you rightly say, it's not just a push to pass. It depends on your strategy. It's really push for extra power.
Yeah.
And you have 300 seconds of that. And those of you who are watching McLaren Trophy Europe for the first time, if you look at the effectively what looks like daytime running lights, if they are flashing, it means the driver is activated the push to pass. That gives them an extra 35 horsepower boost, and it's enough to make a difference, that's for sure.
Now, in terms of the championship, Callum Davis and Luca Magnussen are the drivers in charge at the moment. They've got 23 points to the 21 of Largim Ali and Christian Brooks. In Pro-Am, Eric Berens and Alejandro Gapert are ahead there, and they've had 3 of the 4 race wins. And then you've also got the AM category, Charlie Martin ahead of Cedric Lima, who did not race at Spa. It's going to be Will Aspin then, who is on pole position for this first race of the weekend, and Josh Mason lines up with him at the front of the grid. Riccardo Iannolo is going to start 3rd, and Alessandro Fabi goes from 4th ahead of Guido Lucetti. And then Flavio Oliveri, who was in the gravel at Spa last time out, he will be 6th. Aston Miller, one of only 2 drivers that raced here before. He is on row 4 with Lucas Legere alongside. When I say raced here before, I mean in McLaren Trophy. Jody Lambrughi makes his championship debut alongside Hugo Back. Luca Magnussen will start the championship leader's car that he shares with Callum Davis. Edgar Pierre for company ahead of Dimitris Papanastasiou. And then Cedric Lima returns. Mark Smith from British GT goes solo. And Eric Berens, along with Alejandro Gapert, the other driver that's raced McLaren Trophy cars here before, they are next on the grid. Emily Bishop is on 9th row of the grid with David Coelho for company, and Lucas Valcra will round out the grid. Now, Valcra with Lorenzo Montero struggled in qualifying, but as winners at Monza, we know they have got good collective pace.
That car has a lot of pace, David, and unfortunately they had an accident in qualifying, and very unfortunate. So it's really actually good to see the car on the back of the grid. There was a substantial amount of damage at the accident between turns 4 and 5 during free practice 2, I think it was, either free practice 1 or 2, I can't remember now. But anyway, good news is they're on the back of the grid. But yes, these guys have a lot of pace, so you watch them coming through the field today. Now,
Tommy, I should point out, is also driving standards advisor, but spends time talking to drivers generally, of course. So when you're sitting in your nice air-conditioned McLaren hospitality or your nice air-conditioned driving standards advisor's office, and hot, sweaty drivers come to talk to you, what serious question, what's the feedback you're getting from the drivers about life inside the car?
Extremely hot in these temperatures, that's the first thing. This is a very difficult circuit in terms of track limits. It is effectively a motorcycle circuit, very, very low curbs, very flat curbs. And we have issues, of course, also with cars going off, picking up gravel and punctures potentially as well. So a lot of challenge on this circuit.
Let's go racing then. Lights on the gantry are red. 50 minutes are on the clock. Race 1 of McLaren Trophy Europe is go, and the cars thunder away down towards turn 1 with a good start being made then from pole position by Will Aspin. To the outside line goes Josh Mason. Riccardo Iannello tries to get up the inside, and is he going to be able to do it? Not quite. Josh Mason's being hung out to dry slightly on the outside line at turn 3, and that gives Will Aspin the chance to challenge, and back through he comes. Iannello in the all-orange car then goes second. Does he under braking for turn 4? Yes, he does. Nice move. So Mason shuffle back in the pack. You've also got the Greystone car from lower back on the grid, making a bit of progress. Hugo Back has gained a spot or two, and he's up into 4th place already, Hugo Back, and he started on the 5th row of the grid. So Hugo Back from 10th to 4th already. What a start.
Superb start by Hugo there. He's another really fast driver. He was slightly, you know, a little bit behind on the grid than he should have been, so he's already making some good places. Iannello is always very racy at the beginning of a race.
Yeah, when is he not? And he's having a go against Will Aspin. Those two already trying to get away from Josh Mason then as the cars turn their way out of turn 10, accelerating back down towards the Cavoni right-hander. This next part of the circuit, a kink into a corner, into a tighter corner, into a hairpin. The race leader then, and you can see with the flashing light, drivers trying to use that extra power either to pull away or clear a car. They're all using it, and they're all therefore countering the usage of the guy behind. Another car making a bit of ground up, Edgar Pierre, number 111, further back as they round the turn 14 hairpin. But a good first lap this by Will Aspin. He had to work hard over the first couple of corners, but he will lead at the end of lap 1. And Josh Mason is on the defensive, isn't he, now to keep Hugo Back at bay.
Yeah, it's a great job there by the front row. Josh Mason didn't get a flusher there. He lost out on the drag race in the turn 1, but he's in the top 3, and that's a good position right now.
And look at that, being squeezed onto the grass. That was the DTO car, I think, there, as they came over the line. So Aston Miller being squeezed a little bit. He got away with that, but only just. Aston Miller sharing with Ben Mulryan right there at the top 2 as they head up now into the Curva del Rio, turn 4. Challenge on the inside, number 90. That is Flavio Olivieri, and he gets ahead, I think, of Hugo Back, does he? Yes. So there, look, number 33, the Greystone GT car in the Greystone familiar colours rather than the army colours that the Mason O'Brien car carries. He's now being shuffled back down to where it qualified, and another big dive up the inside line there, and a very nice move indeed to go through. Valavic was Luchetti up the inside, but he's run wide coming out of turn 8. So Hugo Back comes back at him. Mirrors fly, mirrors flail, and yes, number 99, Guido Luchetti, would argue he never uses the mirrors anyway, but that now looking a bit precarious. But great racing going on here.
Well, he certainly won't be using the mirror now. That's just about coming off the car. There was a little bit of contact from Hugo coming out of that corner there, a little bit of side contact. These cars are very powerful, and coming out of slower corners, there's a huge amount of power going to the rear wheels. A bit of slip angle there, a little bit too much maybe, and some contact between the two.
Now, looks as though Riccardo Iannello is coming back at the race leader here, doesn't it? Because Will Aspin is not getting away. The Florence-born Brit, so he's kind of on home soil. The Italian-born driver comes up over the line, but Riccardo Iannello is getting nearer to him as they break the beam then. So through they go, and Riccardo Iannello is just about 4/10 of a second back as they dive down towards turn 1. Iannello, previous Italian GT endurance champion in the AM category, so he knows Misano. He's raced here not in McLarens but in other cars, and Hugo Back continues to drop away. Aston Miller having a go. Now, do we put this down to a demon start by Hugo Back, and now the natural pace is kind of balancing things out, or do we think he's got a problem?
Well, I mean, they certainly had a very good start to start with, and we need to see whether there's a penalty, a jump start or anything like that, but he's doing a great job where he is, but he's kind of where he should be. I think everybody's very sort of, you know, evenly matched in terms of pace at this point.
There are the leaders then, still nose to tail. Aspin ahead of Iannello. Fastest lap of the race, Flavio Olivieri, as again to the outside comes Iannello, but he's never going to go all the way around the outside. If he wants to switch back, it's too late to do it.
Yeah, but crucially, he's putting enough pressure on Will, and Will is using his push to pass quite a lot to try and stay in the lead. Look at that, still flashing, and the flashing bit behind isn't the push to pass on Iannello's car. That's just this, get out of the way, I want to get through.
And what this means is that Josh Mason in 3rd place doesn't have to be using his to stay in touch, because they're holding each other up by squabbling. And if he can preserve as much of the PTP as possible for Michael O'Brien in the next stint, happy days.
100%, and that's exactly what he's doing. So really very mature race there from Josh Mason in 3rd place, and good to see that car, you know, in the top 3 position. They had a bit of a rough start to the season, so they're doing very well.
Yeah, former single-seater racer Josh Mason then as he comes over the line in 3rd. But look at the battle pack behind him, Olivieri, Luchetti, and then Fabi, Alessandro Fabi in the white and blue liveries they go through, all of which are representatives of that Pro Cup. The leading Pro-Am at the moment is number 59, Jody Lambrughi, and your leading Am is Mark Smith, the British GT regular for the Paddock Motorsport team. Mark, who comes from America to the UK to do his racing, and now coming to European circuits. One driver we don't have on the grid this weekend, and we often do, is Ron Trenker, along with John Lancaster, who's not here this weekend. So one or two faces missing, but also some new faces as this battle goes on here, as you can see, for 4th and 5th and 6th. Still Olivieri, Lucetti and Fabi together as they again run out of turn 8. Fabi just dropping off the back slightly. And behind, Hugo Back continues to drop because he's fallen back from 4th into 7th. He's about to become 8th with Aston Miller all over him like a rash as well. So do start to think that all is not 100% for Hugo Back.
I have to agree with you there, David. Yeah.
He's just not maintained the form that he had early on, has he?
No, he has lost some pace, and he's still using the push-to-pass, so he's trying to get as much as he can out of the engine and maybe struggling with something that we don't know at this stage. But yeah, Lagim Ali, by the way, sharing the car today with Lucetti. Normally it's Christian Brooks, who's not here this weekend.
Indeed so, yeah. So Lagim Ali winner last time out. So what that means is that Lucetti sort of cops for the success of Christian Brooks. He has to serve those 7 seconds because it goes to the car. Over the line, Will Aspin leading the way, but he cannot shake off Riccardo Iannello, can he? They're absolutely nose to tail as they come into turn 1. But Josh Mason, 11/10ths of a second back. Now, does that mean that he's falling away because he's having to go defensive himself against Flavio Olivieri? Let's have a look as they come back into view. There are the leaders, but Mason, yeah, I think he is now having to start to defend a bit more, isn't he, here in 3rd place?
Actually, nothing between them. The first 2 guys there's about... in fact, Iannello was 2/10 faster on that lap, and that's probably why he closed up to Will Aspin there. So, yeah, very close battle there, as I would like to see it.
And the number of track limit warnings in 4 laps is already quite a long one, so do not be surprised if we get some penalties. The stewards will be looking at this, headed by Ian Watson, very experienced British race official. There, Hugo Back tries to fight back against Lucas Leggeret, but Leggeret, experienced GT3 McLaren driver, is just easily able to get back up the inside, and right there behind them is Edgar Pierre. So Hugo Back's Greystone car just doesn't look like he's got the pace, and he leaves the door open there. Edgar Pierre up the inside, and Back doing everything he can to try to hang on to position, but there's got to be something not right with that car.
Yeah, once again, using a huge amount of push to pass to try and overcome whatever issues he has. Edgar looking very racy there, and we've seen a lot of action from Edgar Pierre before. Yeah, but right now, at this stage, things are looking reasonably clean. We have a good talk today in driver's briefing with these guys. There was a little bit too much contact from Monza to Spa, and hopefully they'll give us a better show in that respect.
Good racing we had at Spa, however, and right now you've got a line of pretty much 5 cars, look, coming over the line down towards turn 1, and it's in fact a line of 6 because Alessandro Fabi was hidden there behind Guido Lucetti. So Aspin, Iannello, Mason, Olivieri, Lucetti, Fabi is the order, and Hugo Back has fallen into 9th place. It would not be a surprise if that car pitted before the window, which comes between the 20 and 30 minute mark. But Will Aspin just can't get away up front, can he, right now?
No, he hasn't been able to pull a gap that he needs, and but also mentioning Alessandro Fabi there, he's also a little off than what I expected. His pace in qualifying was very, very fast, and he's just not making up that ground that I thought he would have done at the beginning of the race. Now, I saw him before the race. He wasn't looking great. I think he was suffering with the heat a little bit, not feeling that well. So I wonder if that's playing a part in what's going on in the cockpit right now.
Maybe, in which case he's doing a good job, isn't he, to hang on in there in 6th place. Wonder whether that's also part of Hugo Back's situation. Maybe it's not the car, maybe it's him struggling a little bit as well, because closed cockpit, drivers having been waiting around a little bit longer than planned for this race. Earlier race delayed with a red flag, so temperatures still very, very hot indeed. The ambient is nearly 31 degrees. That's before you put all your race gear on and get into the car. They're going through in number 59 is the Pro-Am leading Jody Lambrughi. Not a bad debut, this. And right now, Am is Mark Smith leading from Emily Bishop, and then Cedric Lima, 3rd in class.
Yes, Lambrughi, one of the new drivers this weekend, doing extremely well. They're leading the class, as you said, and with Papa Anastasio there in 2nd. Barons normally leading the class, and they are leading the championship by a good margin, now in 3rd place.
Yeah, Eric Barron's sharing with Alejandro Gapat, who we know is good because he's a previous champion. And there, look, number 99, the orange car of Guido Lucetti, right on the back of Flavio Olivieri, now trying to make a move. As the car sprint up towards turn 4, Alessandro Fabi almost with them again to be able to challenge. Whatever travails Alessandro is having, he has done the fastest lap of the race, incidentally. So Fabi 6th, he's on a 1:38.1 as the fastest lap, Alessandro Fabi. And that was done early on lap 3. We're now on lap 7. And we're creeping towards the pit window, aren't we, in this race as well?
Yeah, so pit window coming up soon, and there'll be some fireworks certainly when Pat gets in the car with Behrens. I mean, you're trying to get back to the lead of that class, but they've got some very stiff opposition. And one of the things that was happening a lot in FB 1 and 2, and not so much in quali, but Behrens was struggling a little bit with track limits, and he needed to really settle down, get a bit of a race strategy here, because they've got a lot of competition, and he needs to just keep the track limits issue in control, so when Pat gets in the car, he can then have a chance of fighting back to the lead of the class.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got the race leaders then currently working lap 7, and Will Aspin doing a good job making that car wide enough to fend off the challenge of Riccardo Iannello, but he's not really being able to get away, so it's having to be done this on racecraft effectively. Race leaders go by, that's another lap in the book, and Josh Mason is still with them. And that car, though, has to serve 5 seconds, courtesy of its results at Spa. So, although Josh Mason is keeping Michael O'Brien in the hunt, it is going to lose out a little bit in the pits. That's
right, so they obviously have the pit stops to do, and there will be added 5 seconds to the Josh Mason, Michael O'Brien Greystone GT car. So that's very difficult to make up on track, 5 seconds, especially when you're up against such good opposition. But of course, Will Aspin doesn't have that problem. He'll come in and will do just his mandatory stop. That's right, and the pit stop time is 46 seconds, the drive time, 60 seconds pit stop time for the Pro-Ams and the AMs, and if you're a solo AM, 63, because always the thinking is that if you're on your own, you've got a slightly better feel for what the car on the track is like when you rejoin the race over somebody that's an incoming driver. Emily Bishop, though, has pitted, and that's before the window, and that suggests a problem, sadly, as we look at this lead battle coming down towards us. And again, you can see the lights are flashing on Iannello's car. Josh Mason having to think about defending. She is doing a good job of, in fairness. Flavio Olivieri has not found a way by. No, and Will Aspin, I'm afraid, is too experienced to get that flashing light, get the better out of him. So he's in a good position. He hasn't got a huge gap against Iannello, but Iannello hasn't been able to actually make a move yet. Yeah. So he's had a few laps to do that, and so Will Aspin there doing a fantastic job under a lot of pressure. One driver who's going to have to be careful here is Flavio Olivieri, who is running in 4th, because he's already on 3 track limit warnings, and we've got 7 track limit warnings now for Alessandro Fabi, by the look of it. So, yeah, he's on 7, and that means penalties surely are going to be coming for there. The white car just about to pop back into view behind the timing tower any second. Now, Alessandro Fabi then, fastest lap of the race, but with, as I say, 7 track limit warnings, and it won't be long before the decide to throw something at him. Unfortunately for his co-driver Patrick, he's now will have a car that's hanging on that, and he won't be able to do any more really between now and the end of the race. I think that is more a product of how Fabi was feeling earlier before the race. Really, he's not feeling his best at the moment, so that has to have some kind of impact on what he's doing right now. Sadly, though, if you're over the line, you're over the line. Doesn't really matter what the reason is. It's you know, if you're out of the white line on a football pitch, you're out, aren't you? And it's the same here. If you're over track limits, you're over track limits. Fabi having to really fight the car out of turn 10. Yeah, reflecting what Tommy's saying, he's not feeling 100%, and it's kind of showing. He's doing his best to hang on in there, but that's one of the cars you could anticipate to pit early, couldn't you, to put Patrick Schober in as soon as. A little bit of debris lying on the road there by the look of it, going up through turn 12. Emily Bishop's car still in the pit lane, so clearly a problem. And Hugo back in 9th has sort of steadied the ship, so to speak. He's not fallen any further. Lucas Valcra, up from the very back of the grid, has got as far as 15th. I'm surprised there's not been a bit more progress there as well. Yeah, Valcra, another one that lost a lot of track time with the accident, obviously, in FP2. That was him in the car when the car went off, and they've really lost out on a lot of track time. Indeed so, as the leaders go by. So there, number 90, Flavio Olivieri in 4th place. Still charging on as he's hunting down Josh Mason. We are about 5 minutes away from people thinking about pit stops, and you can see those that have gained and those that have lost from earlier on. Lucas Valcra up 4 places, and Hugo back
gained a lot, then dropped down. So net, he's only gained 1 place. The real loser, Cedric Lima, has lost 3 places early on, and the Emily Bishop car just rejoining, I can tell you, although it's now dropped off the lead lap. Is Will Aspin just edging away a little bit on this lap?
It looks that way on this lap for sure. Maybe a mistake from Iannello somewhere. But very steady up. Just looking at the lap times from Aspin, he's been very, very consistent. And although Iannello has put slightly faster laps here and there, the consistency just isn't there. There's Will Aspin using his push-to-pass button there to try and eke out a little bit more of a gap. And so, yeah, looking relatively in control there, or well in control at the lead of the race at this point.
This circuit, 4.226 kilometres long, and it is Will Aspin, the race leader, and how quickly things can change in a few corners, because having said he was pulling away, Riccardo Iannello is right back with him as they come up through turn 15 now. So Will Aspin in that Gulf liveried car run by the SMC Motorsport team, Emilio de Villota Jr.'s squad, the Spanish team. He's hanging on to the advantage. A little bit wide, though, was Iannello. And the time penalties are now coming, because 5 seconds have gone the way of Edgar Pierre, and Mark Smith, number 9, has got a 5-second track limit penalty as well. I'm trying to find what's in the system for Alessandro Fabi aboard number 9. He's had, 5 seconds as well. So there are drivers then with these penalties that are going to have their race results radically changed. And with 33 minutes effectively still to go, it might not be the only penalty.
We knew this was going to be an issue here for sure, always in Misano with the track limits. And the other problem they have here, really, when they cut the corners too much and get into gravel, we're having a few punctures really over the free practice and even in qualifying. So they need to really be careful with that. It's not so much just cutting across the corners, but also risking damaging the tires in the process.
Absolutely, and even if it's not a puncture then, it could be a slow one that manifests itself. Guido Luchetti a little bit deep into turn 10. So the drivers then have done nearly 20 minutes, which isn't that long a stint, but it is heavy work in these conditions. So some of them will be very, very pleased to get out of the cars. But if you're the pro in a Pro-Am car, then you're going to have to do a bit longer, aren't you, maybe, to help your AM. So dig deep. There's the lead battle. Good drive this by Will Aspin. He may not have had the pace to drive away from Riccardo Iannello, but he's not cracked under the pressure. He's not given him a chance to really get past.
No, his consistency is the key to him keeping the lead. He's not dropping his lap times by very much at all. And of course, sometimes Iannello gets close, but he's able to eke that little gap again. So he's got the advantage in the sense that he's ahead on the road, so he'll come into the pits potentially before Iannello. And this is where the team comes into place as well. Let's see how the two crews go against each other in terms of getting the car back out of the pits with the right mats, not wasting any time in the pit lane.
And equally not being under the regulation pit stop time, because then you get a penalty. So the pressure is on the teams and the stopwatch and the car controller to make sure that you get it right. Better to be slower than a 10th under. So right now, Will Aspin leads the way. We're about a minute and change off that pit window opening. And Emily Bishop back into the race, starting to do personal best sectors. So whatever the drama was, looks like it's been cured. Will Aspin is the leader, 0.6 of a second the margin, as the field again works its way out of 8. That slight climb to turn 9, which is a kink, and then the corner itself at turn 10. The Curva Tramonto, through which they turn, and then you run down the back part of the circuit near the motorway and on towards the final section of this circuit, very popular for motorbike racing and truck racing as well. And for sports car racing, it delivers action aplenty. Will Aspin, race leader, but he's under huge attack as well right now. They had a win at Spa, did Will and Harry Burgoyne. But the way now that Riccardo Iannello is going suggests that he wants this lead before the pit window opens, and he's very, very close to making a move, isn't he? There's about, what, a length between them?
Yes, there's nothing really, but the last lap was only about 3 tenths between them. Aspin, obviously the faster guy on that lap. That's why he was able to eke out a little bit of a gap there. But as you say, Iannello just intent on closing that gap again. You can see him using the was that the push to pass or just the flashing lights there? I couldn't see it.
I think it might have been the push to pass, but he needs to be careful with that, because you don't want your co-driver to have none left. Will Aspin also has been very precise. He's got no track limit warning, so that means that Harry Burgoyne has got a bit more scope maybe to push if needs be. Pit window is now open, so we'll see whether anybody is an early taker. with the race now on that just 30-minute mark as they come along the back straight. The kink at turn 7, setting the cars up for turn 8. And you can see how many of them are trying to use either the push to pass or indeed the lights just to distract the driver ahead going into a braking area. Does that ever work, flashing your lights at somebody?
I mean, it might affect some people. I mean, I think,
Never affected you.
I don't think it's affected Will Aspin. I don't think I ever bothered with that. But yeah, it's just something that people do. It's the psychology of it. But yeah, I think Will Aspin is really very much a cool-headed driver there, in control of what he's doing. And by the way, Josh Mason doing a fantastic job in 3rd place. Very, very solid pace all the way through, within a tenth, I think, of the fastest lap there on the last lap of the race, or so. And yeah, doing a solid job there for the #1 Greystone GT car.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, he's in the mix, isn't he? Pit stops, that's Eric Berens giving way to previous champion Alejandro Gepet. Early stop, that's going to give him maximum time. We've also had Cedric Lima in to give way to Jonathan Cochet. That's Josh Mason coming in early to give way to Michael O'Brien, and David Coelho, the man from Trinidad and Tobago, has brought number 50 into the pit lane, and he in turn gives way to Matt Higgins.
And crucially there for Berens coming in the pits, just looking at the screen now, there are no track limit warnings for number 88 car. And that was the strategy they had. They knew they were using, in the lead up to the weekend, Eric was just track limiting quite a lot. And he knew that if he did that in the race, with the fierce opposition they have this weekend in the class, he would have just thrown that away. So just, lose a bit of lap time, no track limits, then give the car with no track limits to Gepet. Gepet can fight to the end.
Plan working. You've also just seen Alessandro Fabi in early to give way to Patrick Schober. So Alejandro Gepet back out shortly aboard 88. So that is Flavio Olivieri, who's on 4 track limit warnings. So he's another one that's got to be careful about it. Patrick Schober gets on board to replace Alessandro Fabi. Schober, somebody else that was quick, if unlucky, at Spa. And now it's game on. As you can see, Luchetti attacking for 3rd place against Flavio Olivieri. He couldn't quite make the move stick, but it's not for the want of trying. Pulls out, has a look as they come back down again towards the turn 11-12 sequence. These two absolutely together. They've gained a place with this car being in the pits, and Michael O'Brien now set sail. Still an underrated driver is Michael O'Brien, whether it's a modern McLaren or a historic single-seater. He goes very, very well in anything with minimum fuss, minimum error, but for some reason isn't fashionable, doesn't get the credit he deserves. Olivieri's heading for the pit lane, and he brings with him an almost contact in the pit lane there. Guido Luchetti pushing him down the pit road virtually.
No, that looked closer. I'm not even sure they might be touching even now, but yeah, that's a bit aggressive there coming into the pit lane. You're not going to gain a lot, but you might gain a penalty, which is good for things in the end. So very busy pit lane now, 3, 4, 5 cars coming in at the same time, and that's over to the teams now to perform their bit in the pit lane and make sure that these cars go out without minimum loss of time.
We've also got into the pit lane Hugo Back and Luca Magnussen. Now have a look at this. So Luchetti in the orange car brakes much later. Yeah, that's contact. You saw the bodywork just before, and again, and again. So, why? Because you're not going to overtake. You can't overtake driving down the pit lane. You can only overtake if somebody has a really significant problem on the pit stop.
Well, the car behind may argue the point that the guy in front slowed down a little bit too early and got him by surprise. But these things, there's always an explanation, isn't there, for these contacts and issues on track. I'm sure we'll have a look at it later on.
Yeah, the data is there, isn't it, to show who was quicker than whom and whether somebody did slow early. This, though, remains the lead battle. Will Aspin has managed to hang on to this all the way through the stint. Ricardo Iannello behind him then as they head up now into turn 12 and 13. And Iannello has had a good run, but he has not been able to find a way past Will Aspin, or Waspin, as he became known at Team Parker Racing in his Porsche days. A very smoky front-braked 99 there. Rejoined, so that was Guido Luchetti. It's now Largin Ali, and remember that car had to serve an extra 7 seconds, partly perhaps why Luchetti was keen to get in and get on with the pit stop.
That's it. Yeah, it's important for them to obviously get out. Obviously, we can see the number 11 is the DTO car now with water. Ooh. Looks like excess water. Maybe they're running a little bit hot, and the image that we saw earlier in the pits with the brake dust there coming out of the front of the car. These brakes are running very hot at this point in the race with the track temperatures where they are now. So yeah, these cars are working extremely hard as well as the drivers.
Sure, absolutely. So the DTO car, that was Ben Mulroney ready to take over. Now proving its incontinence. Hopefully that will be able to go back out. Meanwhile, this lead battle carries on, and Will Aspin keeping Riccardo Iannello at bay. They're going to have to be in relatively soon, aren't they? Riccardo Iannello will give way to Gregor Yeats, and for Will Aspin, it's going to be Harry Burgoyne to take over. And remember that both of them have had a win this season. The combination that's in the lead here won at Spa, and the chasing Iannello and Yeats combination had a win at Monza, which is the place where we started the season. The other side of Misano, Barcelona, and then Portimao to round out the McLaren Trophy Europe season. And Iannello getting tantalisingly close to having a go, but he can only try the outside line, and that's not going to pay off.
Still very racy there, Iannello as always, but Will Aspin, a cool customer there. And Iannello still, oh, here we go on the outside. No, there's no room there.
Now Iannello's getting increasingly frustrated, so it's either going to end with a pit stop or tears, and Will Aspin pits. That's going to give Iannello a free ride, but only maybe for a lap. So now he's got to do a qualifying lap, hasn't he, to try to, in real terms, put the car into the lead.
That's it. That's Iannello now. Absolutely right, David. He needs to really push hard. There's nothing in front of him. He's got a clear track. He needs to maximize that lap to come in the pits and hopefully overtake the Will Aspin car in the pit lane, or as it comes out.
Indeed. And while all that's been going on, Alejandro Capet has taken over from Eric Berens and has done the fastest lap of the race. Now, that's a Pro-Am car, but Capet is the pro in the Pro-Am car. There's no surprise that he's quick. But if we got a second stint safety car to bring him into the mix, you never know what he could do. So Capet, very, very quick. Now, we are having a penalty applied to number 90, which has gone from being Flavio Olivieri to Vincenzo Scarpetta for being short on the pit stop. In other words, it was not down to the regulation time. Meanwhile, this is the race leader, Riccardo Iannello, now trying to push on and build a gap as best he can. What he wants is for this lap to be that little bit quicker than anything that has been done by Will Aspin, so that he can jump into the lead when the car is released.
So there you go, a 10-second penalty for that time penalty for not being in the pits long enough. So, you know, teams are eager to get the car out, obviously to not give away any more than a second, if you will. But if you're too eager and go too short, it costs you a lot more than that.
So there's Iannello then, and we'll see whether he's going to pit this time. Comes out of turn 15, and if the car blends to the inside, it does. Gregor Yeats ready to take over then. Riccardo Iannello down the pit road, and a good stint done. So Iannello ready to jump out of the car. Gregor Yeats will take over, and so we need to keep an eye on where Harry Burgoyne is on the track relative to that car. Well, there is Burgoyne, pretty much just getting into the stint. So because it's a long pit lane and it's a long stop, only now does he venture out. So he's got to do a lap while the other pit stop is being served. And that's doable. 46 seconds is the drive time, 60 seconds stationary. So they are long pit stops, deliberately so, to take some of the pressure off and to let the Pro-Am driver changes happen safely without any fuss and risk of something going wrong and safety being compromised.
The crew there very eager to check tyre pressures, as you saw there on the pictures. Very, very important that you bleed them down, and they'll be running above the sort of optimum hot temperature, or hot pressure, I should say. So it's a very key that they do that in the pit stops.
How much help do the teams get from Pirelli in things like this? I mean, did Pirelli take an active role, or they just say, there are the tyres, off you go?
Absolutely not. A huge amount, actually. I was just talking to one of the Pirelli engineers, and yeah, I mean, they have a guideline of minimum pressures that they need to run. In fact, it's a regulation. They cannot run below 1.3 bar to start with. But of course, on a hot day like this, even at 1.3 bar, which is the lowest you can start the tyres, they will shoot up a little bit higher than the operating the pressure is. So again, at the pit stops, it's very key that they do bleed them down.
Michael O'Brien here, stuck behind Vincenzo Scarpetta, but he's going to be penalised. And just up the road ahead is the car in the hands of Harry Burgoyne, and we need to see where that is in relation to then this car when it comes back out. So accelerating away is Gregor Yeats. He will rejoin. Where's Burgoyne? Has the plan worked? Has he got the race lead? He has, and by some margin. So Gregor Yeats is ahead. That pit stop time, 1 minute and 47 seconds. So he's gained 1.6 seconds on the pit stop over the car of Harry Burgoyne. So it's now Burgoyne who's got to push on and catch Yeats in order to get the race lead. Scarpetta, in the meantime, is keeping Michael O'Brien at bay. But the frustration for Michael is he wants to clear this car. It's got a penalty, but obviously Scarpetta ain't going to let him without much of a fight.
No, but Michael is always, you know, he's just a true professional.
Yeah.
He will find a way. I suspect very quickly he's using that push-to-pass button there and keeping the car nice and safe around the outside. He can do it. There you go. Yeah, just a consummate professional there, Michael O'Brien. As you said earlier, very underrated, and I don't know why. It just every time I see this guy perform, he brings it to the table and always puts on a great show.
And put him in historic Formula Juniors or single-seaters. You know, he adapts and he runs away. Comes from a good racing family. His uncle, Eugene, Formula First racer. People with a long memory will know what Formula First was, but he also raced in the British Touring Car Championship. As in fact in both cases did Tommy, Formula First and British Touring Cars. But then his father, Mike O'Brien, was another ex-Formula Ford 2000, Formula 3 British Touring Car racer as well. Over the line then goes the lead battle. Gregor Yeats ahead of Harry Burgoyne. Let's hear from Ricardo Iannella in the pit lane.
Ricardo, what a stint that you just put in there. Brilliant overtake at the start of the race, and you were putting pressure on the lead for your entire stint. Talk us through that.
Well, what to say? As you said, I tried to carry as much pressure as possible at the first guy. You know what's really difficult with this temperature, especially inside the car? We gained like 70 degrees inside. But yeah, we will try the possible, and then it's Gregor in. And, you know, he just have to take the car at home. So just this, and let's make a podium.
Yeah, we can see how visibly exhausted you are, Ricardo. It's very, very hot. The conditions are tough. Any advice for your teammate before he hopped in?
So just doesn't make the track limit and just bring at home the car.
Thanks for talking with us. Thank you.
So that word "just" makes it sound so easy. Just no track limit. Just bring it home. Well, Gregor Yeats is on 3, or the car is on 3 track limit warnings, whereas the chasing Harry Burgoyne on 0. So, like I said in the earlier stint, it does give Harry the chance to push that little bit more. He doesn't have to instantly be as respectful of the track limits as Gregor Yeats does.
I think that really highlights what a great job Will Aspen did in that car.
Yeah, totally.
To keep the car from being having track limits to it. So I gave Harry a car again with 0 track limits, and that's a great job there by Will Aspen.
Now there is 33, which is now Will Martin. He's taken over from Hugo back. Will Martin was in the GT de las Americas series last weekend in the Caribbean, in Guyana. Of all places, along with 1 or 2 other British drivers. Ed Peed, I think, was amongst them. Not many people that can claim to have raced in Guyana, but Will Martin is amongst them.
Even though they had a racetrack in Guyana.
Well, exactly. I didn't until a few weeks ago when somebody out there started asking for details on some of the British drivers. Really? Circling Guyana? Tatiana Calderon was one of the other leading lights in the race. So it got quite an interesting entry. But anyway, Will Martin was one of them. Back to the plot. And he's 5th at the moment. And that car looks more competitive now, doesn't it, than when Hugo back was struggling earlier on. So maybe, again, you put that down to Hugo more than the car, as in struggling with the heat rather than Hugo being slow. I'm not suggesting that, but if that's another driver struggling with the temperature. Alejandro Japet, in the meantime, another fastest lap of the race. The car now is 14th, and Alejandro has got the car to 3rd in Pro-Am.
Yeah, it's another class act there in Alejandro Japet, a former champion of the series, back for more, if you will. And he was, of course, one of the 2 drivers that came back from 2024 to race here in Misano. But these cars are a good second and a half faster than the cars he drove when he was here back in 24. But doing a great job, as always, in the car 88. A really unassuming guy, very calm nature, but when he's in a race car, he is fast.
A 20-second penalty is heading the way of Mark Smith now for speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately. So the British GT regular being given this 20-second penalty for the pit lane speed, and that is going to hurt. He's currently leading in the AM class, but I think when you put the penalty on, depending on whether or not others stay on the lead lap, then it's going to be pretty serious for him. Jonathan Cochet, however, who's chasing, is back in the pit lane, and then Charlie Martin, who is third in class, had dropped 2 laps anyway. So actually, the penalty may not hurt as much as first thought.
And Burgoyne all over the back of Yates there, just really hotting up that battle.
He's done a good job of catching, hasn't he? Because remember that the gap had grown by 1.7 seconds in favour of Yates, but Harry Burgoyne has chipped away. So the Scottish driver then up behind the Estonian as they come through turn 10. Wide goes Yates, tight on the curb, Burgoyne. Nice line, nice effort. Doesn't necessarily work out for him, but not for the want of trying there. But Harry Burgoyne is applying pressure. And just to make life worse for Gregor Yates, something that we didn't really worry about in stint 1, and that's traffic up the road.
Yes, and Yates definitely looked a little bit nervous there coming to that corner, missed the apex. He's just made a lunge there into that back marker, and that could have been contact, so he got lucky there and got through. But yes, Burgoyne, you have to say, looking very, very racy behind Yates, and looks like just a matter of time before he gets through there. But
yeah.
Burgoyne now needs to really be careful with that. There's a bit of track limits there, but he's got a few lives left on that.
Yeah, Harry Burgoyne, who came into McLaren's last year from GB4 single-seaters. Twice his dad was the world saloon stock car champion on the ovals, but as I've said before, this is the one exception really out of the Burgoyne and extended Latka family that's gone circuit racing. He went the wrong way rather than staying on the ovals, but he's done a great job in circuit racing, and he's about to go for the race lead. Harry Burgoyne ducks out the inside, elbows out once, contact between the two, and big contact, and that turns around Gregor Yates. Around he goes, and that all got a bit needlessly scrappy, but what it has done is give Michael O'Brien the lead, and I think it's given Burgoyne a puncture. That looks low on the left front.
It did on the left front, correct.
So Michael O'Brien leads. Scarpetta is going to be up into second, potentially. We'll sort it all out in a moment, but the net result, I hesitate to say the bite a bit, but it was Burgoyne that tried to force the issue, and he's punctured the tyre, and Burgoyne doesn't even limp it back. He parks the car, drives straight through the gravel at turn 8. Let's have another look here, Tommy. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so Burgoyne obviously coming wide to try and get a run on the inside, so a cut back on inside. Yeah, was there enough of a gap there for him to put his nose in? But then the second hit, I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, again, it'd be one for this stewards room, for sure. Yeah, that's a better angle there.
The first contact, he was just about ahead, but
Yeah.
there, that smacked of not being happy about the contact.
Potentially. We'll have to look at that closely. And what an unfortunate way to end what would have been a fantastic, already been a fantastic battle. And, you know, I'm actually thinking of Will Aspin in the pits now, having done such a great job in this car. And, you know, was Harry there a little bit impatient in some respects? We'll see.
Well, what it does is put Michael O'Brien into the lead. So even though he had to serve an extra 5 seconds on the pit stops, and the car was only at best third in the earlier stint, it's now the lead car, and Michael O'Brien, to use Riccardo Iannello's phrase, just has to bring it home. So Michael O'Brien leads. Gregor Yates, amazingly, was still second, despite being turned around. Vincenzo Scarpetta is third, but with that Damocletian penalty hanging over. Another penalty has just gone the way of number 59, which is now in the hands of Filippo Barbari for track limit offences. Will Martin is fourth, Patrick Schober is fifth, Largim Ali is sixth. Then you've got James Higgins and Callum Davis to round out the top 8. So it's a rather different order as the cars break for turn 8, and Harry Burgoyne out with that damage at the punctured tyre.
All changed very quickly there, just in that one move. And Michael O'Brien there, the biggest beneficiary of that, he's got not just a lead, but a comfortable one as well, at nearly 5 seconds, 4.7 seconds.
It's going to be interesting, though, isn't it, to see what Yates can do now, because he's going to be all fired up, but, you know, has that car had any rear suspension damage in that contact? There's now a 10-second penalty being given to number 9, which is the Fabian Schober car, for track limit, so it's got a 5-second already, now 10, and Burgoyne is limping back, so it's notionally out of the race, but he is still trundling to the pit lane, but he's now a lap down.
Yeah, we knew the number 9 car was already hanging with track limits before the pit stop, so yeah, it's not surprising to see that.
Right, leaders go by, so O'Brien through, that lap was a 39.3, and Gregor Yates 40.0, so he's not catching, meaning that Michael O'Brien now is just needing to bring it home. And if the team is savvy at Greystone. I think they will be. They'll be on the radio to say, right, you've got 2 track limit warnings, but you've got an advantage of 5.4 seconds. Just back it off, keep out of trouble, bring it home. 10 minutes to go, just under, and there's a good battle going on now. Look for second and third on the road, Gregor Yates and Vincenzo Scarpetta, but Scarpetta is another one with a penalty. But he's all over the back of Gregor Yates, and Will Martin might be able to buy into this and gain 1, gain 2 places. He'll get past Scarpetta on corrected time anyway, but Gregor Yates does not have the quickest car, does he?
No, not surprising, but I'm surprised he's still running, frankly.
Yeah.
And to get to the position where he is in second place is a bonus for him. But what a battle we have now between second and fifth on the road there. So this could be very exciting to the end. There we've got, what, 9 minutes to go, so it's plenty of racing.
Yeah, that second to fifth train is Yates, Scarpetta, Martin and Schober. But Schober's now on 15 seconds worth of penalties, and Scarpetta was given a penalty earlier on, which was for speeding in the pit lane, I think. Was it being short on the pit stop? I forget. But he's been given a penalty, certainly, number 19, Vincenzo Scarpetta. So that's another one that is in trouble. And now 99 has ground to a halt on the circuit. You just got a glimpse there of Largim Ali's car that is stranded. So Largim Ali, winner at Spa, not being able to maintain that good run from Guido Luchetti. That has parked. Into the pits is Burgoyne. And Will Aspin will be biting his tongue, I suspect, as you say, so frustrated after his really impressive first stint for it to end badly. Safety car deployed, as you see. So Trevor Williams, the race director, calls for the safety car. That's bad news for Michael O'Brien. And that's the reason for it. We need to move Largim Ali's car swiftly. And that looks mechanical, doesn't it? Just sort of expired coming out of turn 15, pretty much.
Yeah, big shame there for Largim Ali and the Target Racing. I got another pairing that we thought was going to really come through in the race, but yeah, obviously some kind of failure there.
He's been good this year, Largim Ali, moving into McLaren.
Incredibly fast every race meeting, and so we're really impressed with him. He's only 22 years old, very young lad, Danish, another one of these rapid Danish drivers, and yeah, really I was looking forward to seeing him in the car this weekend, but not to be.
No, you're right about another of these rapid Danes. There must be a factory somewhere that makes them, because for a pretty small country, it's churned out a lot of very good racing drivers. New Zealand, a little bit similar, but Denmark particularly just keeps on producing very, very good drivers. Right there, number 23 is Callum Davis. This has helped him. It brings that car back into the mix from the championship leaders. And cars then now turning their way down towards turn 12 out of 11, that Curvoni kink. So what we now need to keep an eye to is how swiftly it will be we can get that car of Largim Ali removed with just 6.5 minutes still to go. And I think the answer is we should be back racing very, very promptly. If the safety car slows down a little bit, it might be too late this lap to extinguish the lights, but we're not far off going racing, so we are going to get back underway.
I think what's interesting as well in the Pro-Am class is with the safety car brings the gap, whatever gap Heppert had to the guys in front is now closed up. So we're going to see Heppert make a dash to the lead of the class. I mean, he's definitely got the speed to do that.
Yeah, Ferdinando Daria leads the class from 59, which is Filippo Barberi, and he's got a penalty. And then, as you say, it's Alejandro Heppert next up, and Heppert is keeping his nose clean in all of this, still on 0 track limit warnings. So the safety car does come across the line one more time, but we will, I suspect, go racing at the end of this lap. So in race control, Trevor Williams, the race director, will have checked that the track is clear, that the intervention team is back behind barriers and in a safe place, and then in turn can say to the clerk of the course, right, that'll do. You can instruct the safety car crew to come in this time, and the lights will go out towards the end of the lap. That's the indication that we are ready to go racing. O'Brien, Yates, Scarpetta, the top 3. Bad news this for Scarpetta, of course, with the penalty hanging over him, that everyone compresses behind him, and with it being towards the end of the race as well, he's not got many laps to try and open up any gaps.
Make up the difference, absolutely, yeah. That's that safety car works for some and not for others.
And it's in this lap, yeah. So we're going to go racing again this time. So Michael O'Brien leads the way. Michael, the European champion last year, but he's raced all around the world in GT racing, in Australian GT4, in China GT. He's been a race winner in British GT. And he leads here in McLaren Trophy Europe for the Greystone GT team. So through they turn. Scarpetta has been given another penalty, incidentally, another 5 seconds for track limits. So although he's third on the road there in that blue and orange car, it's going to tumble. This is a circuit with a low curve. It's a common problem of motorbike circuits that lots of people exceed them, but it's not exclusive that you have to do it, because as others have proved, you can survive without doing any track limit penalties at all.
That's the thing. It's the excessive amount of track limits that I really struggle to understand sometimes. You know, once you've gone through FP1, FP2, you kind of know your boundaries. And yes, it is difficult, but you should keep him to a limited amount so that it doesn't have such an impact on your racing.
And others are doing it. You know, we've still got a couple of cars on 0 track limit warnings with the safety car in this time, but with 4 minutes to go, some are on 0 warnings, some are on 10. So it's been quite a wide range. Michael O'Brien then stacks everybody up behind. He knows exactly how to control these restarts. He's going to get, I would suspect, 2 racing laps in, and he will slowly make his way out of turn 15, and when he's happy, he'll just accelerate away, and Gregor Yates straight away has to defend from Scarpetta.
Yeah, sorry, David, he is off. That's it. He started already his run just before turn 16, which was smart. Yeah. Got the push-to-pass button now, which obviously Yates has it as well in the back, but a safe pair of hands there, Michael O'Brien, to start, you know, after a safety car.
Just wave goodbye now, don't you? Because with the experience and the racecraft he's got, knowing exactly when to go, he's away. Now there, look, it's Will Martin looking for a way to get 3rd place, and he might be able to do it this time on the inside if he's got the push to pass. He has. Scarpetta moves right across on him, defends very vigorously. Will Martin, I think, possibly expected that, and he didn't force the issue, but he knows he's going to gain the place on corrected time, but he wants to gain more than that. He wants to be past Scarpetta and having a go at Yates for 2nd.
Yeah, Scarpetta there needs to be a little bit careful with these moves, especially on the braking zones. It's something that we're watching very carefully from now on, and got away with that on this occasion, but yeah, there was no contact there, but they need to be careful with these kind of sudden changes of direction, again, especially on the braking zone. Yeah,
it was quite brutal, that, wasn't it? But it did work. It fended off for the moment, Will Martin. You just also, before that restart, saw Gael Castelli's car in the pit lane. That has a problem also, sadly, the car that Lucas Leggeret started from CSA Racing. So Michael O'Brien has checked out, and he is way clear as the cars come out of turn 12. So he leads from Gregor Yates, and then in 3rd place is Scarpetta. I thought I heard a squeal of tyres there, but it's not affected the leading 4 or 5 as they come up towards us. There is Scarpetta with, again, Will Martin. Oh, contact, he went for the inside, a little touch, and around has gone Scarpetta. Oh dear, I don't think that was deliberate at all on Will Martin's part, but a tiny, tiny touch, and it's got pretty serious consequences.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I would say a slight misjudgment there from Will Martin, just eager to try and get in, but that move was not on. Yep.
So the leaders have gone by. We've got 1.5 minutes on the clock, and a flying lap is about 1 minute and 38. So it might be this is the last lap. It is. That's confirmed by race control as you have another look here at Will Martin. Scarpetta was wide. Martin went for the inside. It was a tiny touch, but it's a touch.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is definitely a touch. I'd say a bit of sloppy driving there from Will Martin. That's a shame because he was looking very strong to challenge, but you know, you've got to make a way around cleanly.
Yeah, exactly. But also you can understand the frustration, can't you? And he was presented with an opportunity, tried to go for it, didn't work, and Scarpetta, with lots of penalties to be applied now, falling down the order also. That car 13th when it came across the line. But again, there are so many penalties lurking, then how they cross the line will be very different from the actual race result. But Michael O'Brien to win with Josh Mason is about the one constant. There it's all concertinaing again, as Will Martin is on the attack now against Gregor Yates for 2nd on the road. So Michael O'Brien set for the win, but I think the stewards and driving standards advisor could be in for a long night here. There's quite a lot to unpack. So
yeah, looking forward to that. Not
Will Martin showing his speed here. I wonder where the pace was in that car in the first stint. Hugo back, remember, made that great opening lap and then fell away. And Will Martin has hustled it back into contention. But it is going to be our 5th different winner in 5 races. Michael O'Brien and Josh Mason are going to come through to take the checkered flag in a wide open McLaren Trophy Europe season. It's another different winning crew. Michael O'Brien brings it home. Josh Mason shared it with him. They win at Misano. Gregor Yates and Riccardo Iannello second on the road. Will Martin and Hugo back cross the line third. 4th, rather unnoticed, Edgar Pierre and James Higgins ahead of Patrick Schober and Alessandro Fabi. Well, they've got a truckload of penalties for track limits. Callum Davis and Luca Magnussen 6th. They're going to gain at least 1 place. But Michael O'Brien and Josh Mason, perfect. 2 track limit warnings only in the space of the 50 minutes. And Michael O'Brien, again, saying to people, I'm really good as a GT driver. Look at me, everybody.
Absolutely, but also credit to Josh Mason on that opening stint where he kept the car clean, as you said, without track limits, good pace. He was there with the leaders, and so a great job by both of those guys. Yeah. Well-deserved win by the #1 car, yeah, and long time coming as well, so they deserve a bit of good luck to them.
And they had to overcome 5 seconds in the pits, but I know that was helped by the incident that brought them back to the lead. But of course, Michael's pace had got them in the hunt anyway. And second place for Gregor Yates after being turned around, that's the save of the day.
Incredible how that car kept going, frankly. I thought there was enough damage there, potentially a puncture, but obviously I got a little bit lucky on that sense and continued. And but what a great job also by Iannello. As always, a great racer, always puts up a good show, and couldn't quite get to Will Aspen before the pit stop, but you know, they were there and thereabouts.
So the drivers then will make their way to the pit lane and thence to the podium in the Pro Cup. Honours going the way of Michael O'Brien and Josh Mason, from Gregor Yates and Riccardo Iannello, and provisionally third, Will Martin and Hugo back. Pro-Am won by, provisionally, number 12, which is Dimitros Papanastasiou and Fernando Dauria. Up to second, Eric Berens and Alejandro Capet. And third, Matthew Higgins and David Coelho. And in the AM contest, in the end, despite penalties, Mark Smith ahead by 3 laps of the Charlie Martin Emily Bishop car that had that long pit stop early on. So although Mark Smith again got heaps of penalties for speeding and for track limits, it doesn't actually cost him a maiden win, first time out in McLaren Trophy, and there he is taking honours. Right, you weren't expecting an early dinner tonight, were you? With all this to review?
No, we knew we were going to have a little bit of discussion in the judicial room, but that's okay. Another great race. I think great performances there on all classes, and yeah, it's nice to see a different winner in Pro-Am as well. And then obviously Eric Berens and Hepet were kind of running away with it, but they're not anymore. Just
take me back to the driving standards advisor role. So how much of it is your decision? Are you shown everything? Do the stewards themselves have an input? Do they say, we think this, what do you think? Or do they say, look at this, what's your verdict?
It's very much a team effort. I mean, I obviously bring the from a driver's point of view what I think the situation is.
Yeah.
You know, who is at fault, who's done what. But we have very experienced race stewards in Adrian and Ian Watson. They've been with the series since day one. They've been you know, in British motorsport and international motorsport for a long time. They're very experienced officials, and I'm really privileged to be able to work with them.
Yeah, I think Ian was stewarding Ben Hur in chariot racing days. He's been, as you say, he's been around a long time. He's a good egg. He's been the clerk of the course of the British Grand Prix. He's the clerk of the course for the British Touring Car Championship these days as well. But yeah, you're right, they are hugely experienced. So their opinions, plus Tommy's, will be taken into account, and the order may shuffle again. So there is a very happy Josh Mason. Michael O'Brien standing by the camouflaged car for the British Army's marketing campaign, adorning that and posing for the cameras as well. Gregor Yates, Riccardo Iannello taking the second place for Target Racing. Interesting as well to see not only new drivers, we've talked about this in this race, but new teams, because now that you've got Giorgio Sana coming to McLaren from Lamborghini, some of these teams have followed him from Super Trofeo, or adding this program to Lamborghini Super Trofeo as well. So it's always good to see new drivers, but perhaps sometimes even better to see new teams, because if they come in, they then sell the drives.
Yeah, so it's so good, and Target is come in really strong. You know, I mean, they have three cars in the pro class, and they've come in really, you know, with a lot of investment and yeah, really looking strong. And they were second, third, and fourth on the grid today. So great team.
Let's get to Nina Jade Paul with our race winners, Josh Mason and Michael O'Brien.
Well, boys, from P2 to P1, you were confident before the race. I said you were no strangers to success, and there you go, race win.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was good. All went to plan, really solid stint from Josh. Served the success penalty well, came out fourth, and just moved our way to the front slowly. Saved all the push to pass in case we needed it for a safety car. Luckily we didn't, and yeah, just cruised home. So it was good fun.
And Josh, this is the fifth different win in 5 races at McLaren Trophy Europe. What do these points do for your championship picture?
Well, it just gets us closer to the front. You know, we just had been quite unlucky with the first 2 rounds. So yeah, this is a great start for us, and hopefully we can get better from here.
Congratulations, enjoy this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh Mason, after many seasons of single-seaters, came to McLaren's last year, and well done. So Greystone GT taking honours, and very much part of the McLaren family, running GT3 cars as well as within McLaren Trophy, and we've seen them in GT4, we've seen them in British GT, so McLaren's very much part of that Mark McLaughlin squad. Now, we have our Pro-Am winners also, Dimitrios Papanastasiou and Fernando Daria. They win for Raptor Engineering in Pro-Am.
Well, you said that couldn't be better. What a race from both of you. That wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy. I gave 30 the car. We got a very good start. We're in first position. He did a mega second stint. I told him we could win this one. He believed it, and I'm super proud of both of us.
And what does this do for your momentum for the rest of the season?
I'm really happy about some evolving. I started the season, it was pretty difficult for me to adapt to the car, but now I feel very much confident.
Well, congratulations, boys. Get some rest and have some water.
Thank you so much.
Dimitrios Papanastasiou there, the slightly taller of the two, raced in the UK a long time ago with a Greek driver, went back home, built up a business, made some money and made some more, and came back racing and enjoying, if you like, his second career. Provisional results sees the win for Josh Mason and Michael O'Brien from Riccardo Iannello and Gregor Yates, Hugo Back and Will Martin third from Luca Magnussen, and Callum Davis fourth. Dimitrios Papanastasiou and Fernando Daria fifth, winning Pro-Am. Eric Behrens and Alejandro Capet behind them. Up from the back of the grid to seventh, Lucas Valcra and Lorenzo Montero. David Coelho eighth, along with Matt Higgins, Edgar Pierre and James Higgins ninth, Jody Lambrughi, and then co-driver Filippo Barberi in 10th, third in Pro-Am. And the best of the AMs, Mark Smith, the American, in 13th place. Well, earlier on, there was a big threat of rain over this circuit. It came to nothing. Race 1 of the weekend in McLaren Trophy Europe began with a demon getaway by Will Aspin, and Riccardo Iannello looking for a way through. He couldn't do it as Josh Mason tried to go around the outside at turn 1. All that served to do, sadly though, was put him on the inside for 2, but the outside line for turn 3. And not only did that give Will Aspin the chance to get the lead, Riccardo Iannello was able to dive bomb him as well. So, having tried to go for the lead, third by turn 4 was Josh Mason, but the car would stay in the hunt all the way through the opening stint of the race. Some good squabbling further back. Hugo Back getting involved with traffic. And coming down the pit lane, a very committed number 99 of Guido Luchetti, trying to hurry up Flavio Olivieri. Aston Miller brought the DTO car in, but that did not return with water pouring out of it. And what we did have was Gregor Yates then replacing Riccardo Iannello in the lead. Harry Burgoyne in for Will Aspin in the car that had led stint 1 into second place. Burgoyne brought down the gap, made a move on the inside, and there was contact. There was another rub, and Burgoyne then went for a gap that really didn't seem to exist. Turned around Iannello, but he was the one that came off worse with damaged suspension. He was out of the race. Another spin. That was Will Martin just tagging the back of Vincenzo Scarpetta. Through all the carnage and all the mayhem, Michael O'Brien had picked up the race lead. He was on target for the win, chased home by Gregor Yates, and Will Martin in third place in an all-action McLaren Trophy Europe race. So the drivers will make their way to the podium. As I say, it's very hot temperatures here, but the rainstorm that was being forecast by some has certainly swerved McLaren's, and hopefully will stay away for the entirety of the day with more racing to come here in the evening. partly because it's a bit cooler and partly because here you can run under lights, and it's always a special atmosphere when racing under floodlights happens. And the last race of the day is a GT3 race, and with Valentino Rossi fans in their droves, and they're still arriving, look, then people being encouraged to come in the evening to watch the racing, and there's a concert tonight as well at the end of the race, so a lot for the fans to enjoy. And pretty hot Mark Smith there as a class winner. And fair play, we didn't actually touch on this, Tommy, during the broadcast, but he's done that on his own. No co-driver.
That's no easy task there. Yeah, it's in these temperatures. I mean, you heard the Iannella, I think it was, or whoever said the cockpit temperature was at 70 degrees, and I'm sure that's not Fahrenheit. That is, it's you know, pretty inhumane conditions to be racing. I mean, I've experienced this once in Dubai many years ago in FIA GT, and it was 68 degrees then.
Yes.
In the cockpit temperature, and it's just incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yes, I remember those FIA GT rounds in Dubai. The air conditioning in the booth was so intense, it was freezing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thought that'd help. Michael O'Brien still discussing his race with Josh Mason. And Michael, another good drive. And let's hope, as I've said before, that he will be picked up for good drives to come. Right, somebody's birthday, we understand from all the cheering in the background.
Was that your present to him, Josh?
Ah, Michael O'Brien then. So no birthday cake from McLaren yet, but a trophy for them as well. So well done on Michael's birthday. And the trophies themselves are pretty impressive.
That was Tamara Billy Moore there from McLaren Hospitality, and always looks after all the drivers and everyone really well. I can see she's very cheerful always.
Rallying the troops here, getting everybody organised, ready to go. There you can see Gregor Yates talking about the spin. But actually, he and Riccardo Iannello remarkably positive about that. There's big smiles, despite the fact that they got turned out of the race lead. Martin Plowman, the man behind Paddock Motorsport, arrives on the podium as well. So we might be missing a driver or two here, but gradually we're getting everybody that we need, and water provided to pretty tired drivers there. It's so encouraging this year to see much improved racing, much bigger grids, and long may that continue for McLaren Trophy Europe. Thumbs up. If you had a driver of the day, who would you afford that luxury to?
I would give it to Will Aspin. I think the job that he did at the beginning with that kind of pressure that he had was superb. Brought the car in the lead with no track limits warning assigned to the car. Close call, really. I thought Josh Mason again did a fantastic job. I think he deserved a break. He's not had a good two races, two events to start with. So, yeah, if you push me for it, I'd say Will Aspin.
Okay, it'll be interesting to hear, as you no doubt will later, Harry Burgoyne's side of the story from that incident. I think the first move there was definitely a gap, but the second one I'm less convinced about. But he may offer mitigating circumstances.
You know, as always, I mean, I've learned that as a driving standards advisor or even official, whatever you call the position, but mainly as a driver, I always give the benefit of the doubt, because there's always something, a story that perhaps we don't know, a circumstance that we're not aware of. So let's see what the driver says themselves, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that second one, as you said, didn't look great.
Update us tomorrow. So the drivers coming to the podium: Will Martin and Hugo Back for third in Pro. Now Riccardo Iannello and Gregor Yates for second, and it is going to be Josh Mason and Michael O'Brien who step forward, both members of the British Racing Drivers Club, for the top step of the podium. The reigning champion, Michael O'Brien, new co-driver this year in Josh Mason, and they will head to the top step of the podium, and for Greystone GT, celebrate great honours here at Misano. Well done then, Josh Mason, Michael O'Brien, and Giorgio Sana from McLaren is poised with the trophies. a sea of orange on the podium. And there for third place, Will Martin and Hugo Back. For second place, Gregor Yates and Riccardo Aiello. And then the top step, Josh Mason and birthday boy Michael O'Brien will celebrate a win and our 5th different winning crew of the season. And there's more great action to come from McLaren Trophy Europe tomorrow. Join us for that here at Misano.